this was a favorite folk tale of mine when I was growing up, and it seemed like this would be a good place to fit if it happened to work. I don't often do storytelling, so this tale is called Bull's Winter House. It's a folk tale out of Russia. Um, Once upon a time, a bull, a ram, a pig, cat, and cock went on their travels together. They came into a forest, and there they spent the summer very happily. They found plenty of food. Bull and ram raked the grass, cat caught mice, the cock picked up insects and plant seeds, and, pig ate up anything and everything. Then came autumn, and the wind blew and the rain fell, and Bull said to Ram, "Brother Ram, after autumn comes winter, and with winter comes snow and ice. It will be very cold, cold enough to freeze us. Come, let us build a house together." But Ram said, "I shan't freeze. I have a thick woolly coat. I shall run about and jump and keep warm. Why should I help you build a house?" So Bull went to Pig. "Brother Pig, winter is coming with snow and ice. Let us build a house together, lest we freeze." But Pig said, "No, I'm not going to help you build a house. I shall dig a deep hole in the ground. When the snow comes, I shall hide in my hole and wait for summer." And Cock said, "What do I want with a house? When winter comes, I'll perch in a holly tree. And the berries will feed me and the leaves will shelter me. Oh, I shall be snug enough." And Cat said, "Well, bother your house. I know how to keep warm. I shall curl up under Cock's holly tree and wrap my tail around my nose." No, not one of them would help Bull build that house, so he had to build it by himself. He chose a dry place, he got logs, he built up the walls, he made a roof, stuffed the chinks, went to town, bought a stove and a lot of food, gathered a great pile of firewood. He worked hard. When winter came, the house was finished. Bull went into the house, shut the door, made a fire, and was very, very warm and snug. Outside, the wind was wailing, the snow was falling, and all the trees were white. But Bull sat by his fire. He was warm and cozy. In the forest, Ram was running here and running there, shaking the snow off his woolly coat. But as fast as he shook off his coat, there was more snow to fall on it. His woolly coat couldn't keep him warm, so he ran to Bull's house and banged on the door. "Bull, Bull, let me in before I freeze to death." Bull opened the door just a crack. Well, in rushed the wind and in whirled the snow. "Brother Ram, what's this? You said you were going to run around and keep warm in your woolly coat." "No, I won't let you into my house because you wouldn't help me build it." "Well, then I shall die. I shall die on your doorstep." "Oh, well, come in, because Bull, after all, is a nice, well-hearted creature." Bull flung the door wide, Ram ran in and lay down by the fire. Bull slammed the door, and the wind went on its way, whirling in the clouds and the snow up and down and round, and one by one his friends joined him. For Pig had dug that hole in the ground, and yet the snow was falling and kept blocking off the air, and Pig was gasping and wheezing as he flew to Bull's house. And Cock had sat in his holly tree, and outside the branches were heavy with snow, and the wind tossed them up and down, and the icicles hung from the inside and tinkled as the wind blew, and the icicles hung from Cock's feet as he tried to clutch that branch. And he finally flew over to Bull's house. And the cat, who had been crouched under the holly tree, had his tail wrapped his nose, but he couldn't keep warm. The ground was frozen solid, and the wind was cold, and the snow was driving in under the tree, and the cat soon would be buried in it. So he gave a leap and scattered and ran for Bull's house. And Cat leaped inside. And night came, and they all settled themselves to sleep. Cat on the stove, Pig on the hearth, Ram in one corner, Bull in another corner, Cock on a beam. Out in the forest, deep in the snow, the wolves were running and howling, and they saw a tiny red flicker of light among the trees. What could it be? They came bounding. "Oh, a little house. Perhaps there might be something to eat in the house." But then perhaps danger. They prowl around the house in the dark. "Shall we venture in, or shall we not?" "Well, let one of us go in and see how the land lies." "Yes, but which one?" "Well, Gritty Gray is the youngest of us and the swiftest on his feet. Let him go in." Gritty Gray did not very much like this idea, but it was 6-1, so he must do as he told, and in he went. So what happens? Bull leaps up, catches Gritty Gray on his horns, and tosses him across to Ram. Ram leaps up, catches him on his horns, and tosses him back to Bull. Cat leaps up down from the stove and claws his face. Pig leaps up and catches him by the tail. Cock runs along the beam, cracking and clawing. Chuck up here, I'll tear him in two. Bull catches him on his horns again and tosses him against the door. The door flies open. Gritty Gray rushes out and gallops over the snow among the trees and back to the 6 other wolves who go galloping after him.
I don't know
By
that
and by,
here.
they all sit down panting. Gritty Gray, what happened? Oh, terrible, terrible things, cried Gritty Gray. Scarcely had I got inside the door when a man with a pitchfork tossed me against the wall, where another man with a pitchfork, who was tossed me in front of a stove where an old woman sat sewing. Well, at least I think it was an old woman, but I really couldn't see. It was dark. But whoever it was thrust pins and needles into my face and nearly scratched my eyes out. And the devil himself came stomping across the floor and caught me by the tail. And all the time an imp on the beam sat shrieking, chuck him up here, I'll tear him in two. And then the first man with the pitchfork gave me another toss to fling me to the imp, but I fell against the door and the door flew open and that saved my life. But oh, it was touch and go, panted Gritty Gray, and catch me ever going near that house again. And they scuttled away further into the forest, kicking up the snow with their rushing feet. So after that, Bull and Ram and Pig and Cock and Cat spent a peaceful winter, keeping warm in Bull's house and gobbling up Bull's store of food. He was a good-natured fellow, was Bull.